Greetings, comrades. This is I'm Caleb, and before we start this video, I have a little announcement to make. I recently found out that one of my nephews recently came down with COVID, as well as strep throat, and just got the news earlier today, prior to uploading this, and yeah, here's doing okay, but you know, it's definitely hits a little bit close to home, because some of you probably know I recently lost my mother to COVID over a year ago, and my nephew's still young. He was only 18, so he seems to have a better chance. But still, you know, when another family member has COVID, I start to get a little concerned. Oh, but we had come in contact with him on Thanksgiving. But it was just the next day that we found out that he came down with COVID. But I don't have any symptoms. I seem to be okay. But I'm going to get some COVID tests later to make sure that everyone in the household's okay. And especially my dad, I got to make sure he doesn't get COVID because of his cancer. Not only is he more likely to catch COVID, he's more likely to die from it. So I'm definitely keeping a close eye on that. And yeah, it's just a bit of unexpected news, but I thought I'd get it out of my system, so you'll know. Because the video we're about to watch was recorded prior to this news, so that's something to keep in mind. But Brian, if you're watching this, I hope you get better, get well soon, and you know, just be calm and fight your way through it. We're all here for you. Greetings, comrades. This is Caleb, back with my first controller review. And yeah, if you haven't seen my earlier video, I'm going to start doing controller reviews on this channel because well, I have a large selection of controllers, and that collection is just going to grow because there are, you know, several controllers out there that interest me, and I kind of want to try them out. And, you know, I primarily get controllers for my Switch, Steam Deck, and of course PC. And yeah, I pretty much use them on those platforms and see how well they work and whether or not they're worth my hard-earned money. So basically, when it comes to these reviews, there are pretty much 5 things I look for in the controller. The feel of the controller, the features, ease of use, reliability, and any cons. So basically, we're talking about how good the controller feels in your hand, how easily you can reach the buttons and stuff. As far as features go, if it offers like different stuff than your standard controller, like you know, like special motion controls or, you know, different grip buttons and stuff like that. And ease of use, you know, just, you know, self-explanatory how easy it is to use a controller, set it up and stuff like that. Reliability, you know, also self-explanatory how well the controller is there any problems with buttons and joysticks and whatnot. And of course, cons, like things I don't like about the controller, things that can be improved on. And so yeah, naturally this is my first review. Naturally there are going to be some rough spots here and there, as expected, because, you know, my videos aren't that good quality to begin with, but I don't really give a flying toss about it. But anyway, I figured for controller reviews, I'd start out with one of my favorite controllers, controller I never thought I'd love, but it's become a pretty common controller to use in my setup, the 8BitDo Ultimate Bluetooth Controller. Now, there's one thing to keep in mind: there are several different versions of the 8BitDo Ultimate Controller. There are 2 wired versions for the Xbox and Switch. There's a 2.4 gigahertz version, which is pretty much like this, only it uses Alps joysticks, and of course doesn't have Bluetooth. And those controllers have the Xbox button layout, even that wired Switch controller, which is odd, but there you go. But the Ultimate Bluetooth controller here uses the Switch button layout, as well as the Ultimate C controller, which recently came out, which I've seen the specs on it. It's pretty much the same as this. I don't know if it has the Hall effect joysticks. All I know about it is that it's pretty much exclusive use for the Switch. I saw the specs. There's no connectivity for like Android or Windows or anything like that. But it does come in some nice pastel looking colors, which is really nice, so if you're into that, look into that. But yeah, this review is going to be for the 8BitDo Ultimate Bluetooth controller. That you can take some of this stuff, you know, with a grain of salt when it comes to the other ones. But yeah. So first off, we're talking about the comfort, the feel of the controller. And when I first got this controller, I was blown away how perfectly it fits in my hands. You know, I have pretty big hands, so this almost fits like a glove. It feels good. I can reach the face buttons good, the joysticks easy to reach. So they went for that asymmetrical layout like the Switch Pro controller did. You can reach the D-pad, the central buttons, you know, bumpers, triggers, even the grip buttons. I can reach just fine. You know, I don't feel any strain or anything like that. And yeah, the grips, you know, that's a con we'll talk about later. But I personally don't have problems with this, but some might. But even with that, it feels good in my hand. And the overall build quality is pretty solid. You know, it doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel cheaply laid like other third-party controllers, which is shocking given that you know, 8BitDo is based in China. So that alone should surprise you. But yeah, overall it feels good. And yeah, it feels solid, you know, it feels well built. As far as features go, you know, it's pretty much, I consider the Switch Pro controller on steroids. Because, you know, it has a traditional layout. You know, you got the Nintendo button layout here, the asymmetrical joysticks, you know, the standard face buttons here, and of course the D-pad, which, awesome D-pad, by the way. And yeah, it even has motion controls, which I don't really pay much mind to when it comes to the controllers, but you know, since the Switch Pro controller has motion controls, it would make sense that this would have too, but it does leave a few things out, which we'll get into later on. But where this controller really shines are a few things. But the big thing, the joysticks, because these are Hall effect joysticks that I mentioned. For those who don't know, Hall effect joysticks use like magnetic sensors, which are a lot more responsive, they're more reliable, and they're a lot less prone to stick drift compared to other joysticks. Though they're a lot less prone to stick drift, but they're not completely immune to them. But even if they did, it does get a joystick. Like, I've had 3 of these controllers, which I still have, by the way. Only once did I have a little bit of stick drift. All I did was open up the 8BitDo Ultimate software, recalibrate the joysticks, and I was good to go. No more stick drift. So even if there was stick drift for this, it's a really easy fix. But yeah, they're a lot less prone to stick drift, but they're not immune to it. But again, easy fix. And yeah, you have the plus and minus button, which you actually act like the start and select. You also notice a few outer buttons. You have the star button here, which is actually the screenshot button, as of the Switch Pro controller. But this has another feature. This has turbo functionality. Basically, you hold a button, then you press the star button, it'll activate turbo. You hold the button, and you know, it'll do repeated presses just like a turbo function would. Then you just hold that button, press the star again, and it'll turn it off. So really cool feature to have. And below that, we have the profile switching button, which ties into the 8BitDo Ultimate software, which is for other controllers, you know, for other, you know, the SN30 Pro and stuff like that. But its main use is for the Ultimate controller here, which you can set up macros for the grip buttons and, you know, change button functions and stuff like that, and set up profiles. You can set up to 3 different profiles on here. So if you want to set something for like a fighting game or maybe a first-person shooter, and you set them up to different profiles, you just press this button and switch the profile you want, and you're good to go. And not only that, you can update the firmware of the controller with the software, and as I mentioned, you can recalibrate the joysticks, and the very rare chance it does develop stick drift. Very easy fix. And of course, we have the aforementioned grip buttons in the back here, which can be, you know, you can program those to do different things with the software, and you'll, you know, you got your other features, you got your natural bumpers and triggers, which they're not digital like the Switch Pro controller is, and yeah, naturally has Type-C, and you probably notice a few more things here. We have the switch here, which switches between Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz, which this is Bluetooth and wireless. So, yeah, that's why I prefer this over the 2.4 gigahertz version, along with the joysticks. you can have best of both worlds. You also notice these 3 prongs, these little contacts in the back here. That's because, another big thing about this controller, it comes with a charging dock. It displays a controller, but it charges it when it's docked, and it automatically turns off the controller. So yeah, if you're done playing with it, just stick it on your dock, it'll shut off the controller and charge it. And not only that, but the charging dock also houses, now underneath here, the 2.4 gigahertz wireless receiver, which if you want to connect that way, just take this dongle off, plug it into a USB port, and connect it there. Just make sure you switch it to 2.4 gigahertz. And a really cool feature about this is that if you plug this into I haven't tried on the Switch, it might work there, but if you connect this to the PC with the wireless adapter connected to it, this dock becomes dual purpose. Like it's a charging dock and a wireless receiver all in one here. Though I haven't really tried that out because I stick with Bluetooth because, you know, Bluetooth. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on for this controller for the same price as a Pro controller as well. So that's something I can't get over. This costs the same price as the official controller, but it has so many more features. Now, as far as ease of use goes, you know, if you use the Switch Pro controller, you'll feel right at home with this. In fact, when I first started using the controller and kept playing with it, I actually forgot I wasn't using the official Pro controller. I was using the 8BitDo controller. Like, it feels that good, you know. If you use the Switch Pro controller, you know, you're right at home. You can say that for any third-party Switch Pro controller, but it feels good. You know, if you like the asymmetrical joystick layout like I do, you know, again, you feel right at home. Though, if you're playing on PC, keep in mind it does use the Nintendo button layout. So if you're playing like I don't know, Call of Duty with this, I guess, and you press B, but it actually does the action of A, like jump or whatever. That's something to keep in mind. So as long as you're not looking at the controller and just treat it like normal, you're good. But yeah, as far as reliability goes, as I mentioned, this controller is built fairly well, and I played numerous games with it, and it works perfectly. Like I said, when I first played it and just kept playing with it, I forgot I was using a third-party controller. It felt that good. Now, the buttons and D-pad, they're responsive. Of course, the joysticks are very reliable thanks to those Hall effect sensors. And again, the bumpers and triggers are easy to reach, and they work as they should. And the grip buttons, you know, if you're programming to do stuff, they work. And yeah, and of course the motion controls, never really toyed with the motion controls that much, but a few times I did try, I calibrated it through Steam, and it works as expected. It works well. Not something I use, but hey, I'd rather have it not need it than need it not have it, I suppose. It does a lot of things that the Switch Pro controller does, and more. But there are a few things it does sacrifice, and that comes with the cons section here, which, as much as I love this controller, it does have a few issues. The first one, the grips. Whereas the Switch Pro controller, the official one, has rubberized grips, this doesn't. It just has, you know, the dimpling on the bottom grips here, much like the series controllers and the PS5 DualSense. Now that I think about it, it's not as noticeable, but they're there. So yeah, personally, these don't bother me that much, but you know, if you have like really dirty, sweaty hands, they'll naturally get gummed up over time. You have to clean it up, and yeah, it's not gonna look pretty. So this would have benefited with some rubberized grips to make it even more comfortable, but you know, take that for what you will. Now, the second thing is one thing I left out. This doesn't have NFC support, so you can't use amiibos with this controller. I don't have any amiibos or anything like that, so that's not a huge deal for me. But if you're planning on getting this as a full replacement for a Switch Pro controller, and you're planning on using amiibos with this, you're going to be disappointed because it doesn't have that. You can wait to switch with this controller though, provided it's actually connected to the Switch. And the third one, this is sort of a nitpick for me, so give me a minute and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here I have a 8BitDo Pro 2 controller. Another awesome controller, another future review. But in the back here, there's a connection switch, which lets you switch between switch, Android, D input, and X input. So this one controller, you can play on the switch, you just put it here. If you want to play on the X input, like PC or whatever, you switch there, you're good to go. This controller does not have that. It just has the Bluetooth to 2.4 GHz switch. And I would have really loved to see a separate switch here so you can switch between, switch, Android, D input, X input, and stuff like that. That would have made this even better for me, so I didn't have to buy 2 or 3 separate controllers for 3 different platforms and stuff like that. I just use this one controller, switch it there, and you're good to go. But sadly, it does not have that feature. Would have been nice because the Pro 2 for it had it, and yeah, it doesn't do as much as this, but that's one feature that controller has that this doesn't. So just a minor nitpick thing for me. It would have been really handy. And there is one more con with this controller, and it's the battery life. And there's a good reason for that. These Hall effect joysticks, they use more power than standard joysticks, which I guess is why first party controllers don't have Hall effect joysticks, at least not yet. But yeah, the Switch Pro controller has a 40-hour battery life, whereas this only has 22 hours, so it's just a little over half of that battery life. Again, these Hall effect joysticks, they use more power, so it makes sense that it has a shorter battery life. But since it comes with the docking station, you just plug it in and it'll charge and go. That's pretty much only a slight drawback for me. Like, I don't play an intense gaming session of this to worry about the battery life. Once I'm done with it, just plug it in, and it's good to go. Ready to charge, and then when it's done charging, go ready for another go. But yeah, those are pretty much the only flaws of this controller. So basically, the pros, feels comfortable, has a familiar layout, pretty much has most of the same features the Pro controller does, and of course, it also adds features. The Hall effect joysticks are a godsend. The profile switching is a nice little feature, the programmable grip buttons, and the different connection methods, Bluetooth and 2.4 GHz, and of course, the included docking station. And it's built really well, and it works well. It works about as well as you'd expect from a Pro controller, especially at this price range. But of course, I mentioned the cons. Again, this isn't a perfect controller. Again, the grips could be better. It doesn't have NFC support, so no amiibos. It doesn't have a connection switch like the Pro 2 does, and it has a shorter battery life than the Switch Pro controller. But if you can look past those things, this is an amazing controller. So do I recommend it? Yes. Yes, absolutely yes. I love this controller. I use it more than the Switch Pro controller because it just feels good and it works well. Again, it's solidly made and it works as you expected. Yeah, it made a few sacrifices here and there, but it's a great controller. There's a reason they call it the ultimate controller. But yeah, it's $70. If there's waiting between the Switch Pro controller and the 8BitDo Ultimate controller, at that point, if you want Amiibo support and want to support the official controllers, then definitely go for the Pro controller. But if you don't care about Amiibos and you don't mind a few sacrifices are made, this is a controller to get. And especially the extra features it does have, it makes up for the few things it doesn't have. And yeah, I love this controller so much. That's why I got 2 more. I got the both of the 10th anniversary limited edition versions, and unfortunately those are sold out. So I'm glad I got those when I did. And actually, I have a few new colors for this controller, red and blue, which I'm probably gonna get a blue one later because blue's my favorite color. And yeah, keep in mind this review's for the ultimate Bluetooth controller. As I mentioned, there are the 2 wired versions and the 2.4 GHz version, which doesn't have Bluetooth. There are a few differences with those. Again, those have the Xbox button layout, and they have Alps joysticks, which are still better than the standard joysticks on other controllers. They're still prone to stick drift, though, so it's something to keep in mind. But yeah, the Bluetooth controller here, and there's also a Ultimate C version of this controller, which I mentioned earlier. It's only compatible for the Switch as far as I can tell, and I don't think it has the Hall effect joysticks. It'd be cool if it does, but if it doesn't, no big deal. Those Hall effect joysticks, you know, that's a big selling point for me. Again, they're more responsive, they're less prone to stick drift, and they're a lot more reliable. But yeah, the Ultimate Pro controller from 8BitDo. Solid controller. I highly recommend it. And this won't be the first. This won't be the last 8BitDo product I'll be reviewing on here. And I have a few more controllers coming that I'm going to review later on, so look out for those. In the meantime, this is Neffex Caleb signing out. Have a good day.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.